Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. With the launch of Season 2 today, we of course got some brand new weapons in Warzone. Two to be exact. One is the BP50 assault rifle, aka the FN2000. The other is the RAM-9, not to be confused with the RAM-7. This one's an SMG, and today I wanted to break down the best setups for each of our new Season 2 weapons here. They are actually surprisingly fun in certain aspects, pretty easy to level up, and definitely will be a factor in the meta moving forward. So as we get into the setups here, quick reminder, if you guys enjoy the video, do me a favor, drop a like on it. It's always seriously appreciated. And if you are new here, you want to guarantee that every single day you are always up to date with all things going on in Call of Duty, whether it's news, updates, patch notes, meta breakdowns. It's all right here. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on those post notifications. But first up here, we've got the Rival 9. This, in my opinion, is definitely the better of our two new weapons. It feels nice, I gotta say. In general right now, the SMG category is super competitive. I mean, buffs to the WASP-9 today, making it even more solid. The Striker 9 is good. The Base Striker is good. Obviously, the HMR-9 and the AMR-9 are right there at the very top as well. This is in the mix for sure. This thing is fast, it's agile and aggressive. Pretty low recoil and easy to use, and its TTK is surprisingly solid as well. Definitely holds its own in the close and early mid-range here. Now, admittedly, the setup here, I won't lie, is hard to narrow down to one specific one. So while I do have my 5 base attachments here, there are some adjustments you can make. You know, you can throw in some substitutions and call some timeouts and put in the subs where needed. So initially here for the muzzle, this is where I'm just kind of back and forth right away. The sonic suppressor is always really good on some SMGs that are already snappy and aggressive as is, because it's only hurting your control a little bit, which is not a huge deal in close range, and then also your sprint to fire, while it's also giving you better range and better velocity, just adding in some versatility to the weapon in general. And the effective damage range on the RAM-9 is not anything too crazy. You can see it's just under 11 meters here with the sonic suppressor increasing that. And obviously this will keep you off the mini-map, so you'll be stealthy, you'll be able to play to that advantage basically there. But at the same time, you know, obviously close range, the JAK BFB has been up there lately. They did actually nerf this though pretty significantly with the velocity nerf there, and then also hurting your ADS speeds and your movement penalties more with today's update as well. So that's why I'm a bit hesitant to use that, but if you do want really good control, the JAK BFB would be an option, or if you'd rather just opt for a different compensator, there are some good choices here as well. Things like the Castle compensator, I personally really enjoy for the great horizontal control, but you have some options in the muzzle category in general. Now, I'm not running a barrel, and here's why. Our first one here, hurting your range even more, and your velo, not great for just some better control on an SMG, not really a huge deal. The Imperator is a decent barrel, honestly. It's helping out your ADS strafe, which is solid, and your range and velocity, but at the same time, it is hurting your control a little bit more than I'd like to. Obviously, some things are doing it, helping a little bit, but these are hurting it more than that, so not drastic. It's not going to crush the weapon if you wanted to use this, but it's still not the most optimal. The Armistice Light is all movement based and it hurts your control, so if you wanted a super snappy build, this would be the go-to, but it's not doing anything for range or anything there. And then the Integrated Suppressor, I've actually run this in multiplayer, and when we do our top 10 multiplayer loadouts here in a couple of days time, I'll probably have this on my setup. But for Warzone, that 24% decrease to the effective range, making it an 8-meter first damage range, just not good enough. It just doesn't add up here, because it says the velocity and the range is getting a pro to it, it's getting buffed, but you can see that in the advanced stats, it's not. So until it's corrected here in one way or the other, I'd stay away from it, but it is something to take note of for sure. Instead, I do go for the DR6 hand stop underbarrel, just all in on better mobility, better movement speed, strafe speed, ADS speed, sprint to fire, making it snappy and aggressive. You gotta run the 50 round mag on this, in my opinion. It's got a pretty fast fire rate, so you want to be going in all in on extended mags here. That safety net 40 would be doable in like solos, but anything beyond that, 50 is going to be the go-to for sure. I also go for the Retort 90 grip tape. This is going to be kind of that free control. We talked about this lately. Aiming idle sway con for close range is not a deal breaker, just because targets are so much larger, it's easier to stay on them even with the idle sway, and there's a bit less of that now because of the update today as well. So it's going to keep the gun nice and controllable and steady, obviously. Then lastly, the Motion Tac Pad stock. This is going to help out with a little bit of ADS speed and sprint to fire, hurts your control a tad bit, but you are getting more aggressiveness out of a build with this on there. I also like the ultralight stock though. It's not doing anything for ADS and sprint to fire, and it's only hurting gun kick, which is more like visual based, and it's doing a lot for your mobility versatility elsewhere with strafe speed, general movement speed, sprint speed. So that's a good alternative as well. If you don't like the optics, you could drop an underbarrel or a stock and throw on, you know, any elo sight or a red dot if you wanted to. And also lasers could be a viable option too if you wanted to throw on like the Nighthawk here while it's visible. Gives it some crazy good ADS and sprint to fire stats as well. So there's a lot of options for this. This is what I've been running so far, and it has done its job. It's definitely sufficient, and the RAM-9 is absolutely in that SMG meta. Now the BP50 is an interesting rifle. I definitely think it's competitive and it's in the conversation. It is lacking in a couple of areas. Over range, its damage doesn't seem crazy good. It hits, but it's not, you know, LMG power that so many long range metas are based around right now, and it's limited in ammo pretty drastically. It's got a fast fire rate for a rifle, and our max here is going to be a 45 round mag. So the damage per mag is not great, meaning that over long range, unless you are laser accurate, it's going to be kind of an inefficient weapon, I would say. Now, for the mid-range, for some sniper support style, I really feel like it could fit well in that sort of meta and that sort of niche, but long range could be tricky depending on your level of skill. Now, this weapon, though, is not hard to use. It's a very low recoil gun. Initially, I'm going for the Spirit Fire Suppressor, range, velocity, and control benefits on there. Jack BFB for long range, a lot less efficient now because it is hurting your velocity so much across the board. You're going to see this a lot less on long range loadouts now post season 2, obviously. You also could go for a compensator though. The Cassis Break would be a great choice here if you just wanted flat out control and you don't care about showing up on the minimap. Obviously, we want to increase that long range efficiency, so the lower 9 heavy barrel is going to be our go-to here. Better range, better velocity, better control. It's going to hurt your mobility some, but that's not a huge deal in the fights that we're taking with this, obviously. 45 round mag is mentioned. For an optic here, it's really just all about preference. The reflector sight on low recoil guns I just love because it's like so snappy and easy. It's clean. You can see enemies clearly, so visibility is great on that. But if you want that, you know, extra efficiency, that extra visibility in the long range, go for something like a 2.5 times Eagle Eye. That would work well too. But if you're going back and forth between sniper support and long range, I also feel like MK3 is really consistent for that. And then lastly, the Moat 40 stock I actually really like. It's helping out control, ADS speed, strafe speed, so you're getting good benefits across the board. It only hurts your sprint to fire a little bit, but it helps out with movement and some decent control. Now, if you wanted to go all in on control, I'd probably swap this out for like a Bruin heavy support underbarrel, but it's a nice like versatile addition to a setup here that, like I said, is already super easy to use. We'll jump into the gunsmith real quick with this, and we'll go back on the SMG as well, but you can see like thing's kind of a laser beam, right? Now, like I said, its damage over long range can be a little inconsistent depending on how you're aiming, and you run out of ammo so fast with that fast fire rate that it's not going to be great on taking on multiple enemies at once over long range, but it definitely works. Like, the thing is nice and definitely in the conversations, I would say, in terms of like the mid to long range meta. Also, in terms of the RAM and the firing range, obviously you're really only using it in like the first 2 meter dummy range. You're not fighting at 30 meters with this thing. It's just really not practical or viable. You can see it bounces around a little bit more as you're shooting further out, but close range, it's easy to stay on target. And obviously the gunsmith and the firing range here really amplifies the visual shake. It's not like that in game. I don't know why it's so crazy here, but this thing is snappy and aggressive, and the BP50 complements the mid range well as well. So 2 weapons that are actually viable for sure. It's nice that we have each gun able to hold its own, and it's not like one is clearly the go-to and one is absolutely obsolete, right? So that being said, that is going to wrap things up for this one. Those are the best setups to be running on the brand new RAM-9 and BP50 here in season 2. Full top 10 and meta breakdowns are going to be coming in the upcoming days, so stay tuned for that alongside everything else going on in COD by, of course, hitting that subscribe button and turning on those post notifications. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.